You are deep in a conversation with an AI. You told it your name 10 messages ago, or the rules of the game you are playing, or the exact writing style you want. And then, out of nowhere, it forgets. It asks for something you already gave it. It contradicts what it told you a minute earlier. It is a little insulting, honestly, like talking to someone who clearly was not listening. But the AI was not being rude, and it does not have a bad memory. The truth is it has no memory at all, not in the way you think. And once you see how it actually handles a conversation, this stops being annoying and starts being kind of obvious. Here is the picture almost everyone carries around. You imagine the AI sitting there, listening as you talk, building up a memory of your chat as it goes, the way a person would. Each thing you say gets filed away somewhere in its head, and it just refers back to that growing memory whenever it needs to. That is not what is happening, not even close. The model does not remember the previous message. It does not even remember the previous word it just wrote. Between one reply and the next, it holds onto nothing at all. Every time you hit send, as far as the model is concerned, it is meeting your conversation for the very first time. There is no little running memory inside it that carries over from one message to the next. So how does it ever manage to follow a conversation at all? Here is the trick, and it is simpler than you would guess. Every time you send a message, the app quietly takes the entire conversation so far. Everything you said, everything it said, the whole transcript from the top, and it feeds all of it back into the model as one big block of text. Then the model reads that whole block from scratch and predicts what should come next, so it is not remembering your name from 10 messages back. It is rereading all 10 messages, every single time, and your name just happens to be sitting there in the text. The feeling of memory is an illusion created by rereading the script over and over. The model is more like an actor who gets handed the entire play again before every line, performs the next bit, then completely forgets it ever happened, and gets handed the whole play again for the next line. To really feel this, picture a long coding session. You and the AI have gone back and forth 50 times, slowly building something up. On message 51, it has no clue that messages 1 through 50 even happened, not from memory. It only knows about them because all 50 are being shoved back in as text and reread in a fraction of a second right before it answers. Every single reply it gives is the result of speed-reading the entire history from scratch. It does this so fast that it feels exactly like a person who was sitting there the whole time. But nobody was sitting there. There is just the script, read fresh, again and again and again. And this is exactly why it forgets. That block of text it rereads has a hard size limit. It is called the context window, and it is measured in tokens, those chunks of text we have talked about before. A model can only look at so many tokens at once. It might be a few thousand, it might be a few 100,000 in the bigger ones, but there is always a ceiling. Now picture a long conversation. It just keeps growing. Every new message piles more text onto that block. At some point, the whole transcript no longer fits inside the window, so something has to give. The oldest stuff, the very start of your conversation, gets pushed out or trimmed away or crammed into a rough summary to save room. And the moment the thing you told it slips outside that window, it is simply gone. The model literally cannot see it anymore. That is the moment it forgets your name. Not because it got bored or stopped caring, but because that part of the script is no longer on the page in front of it. And there is a subtler version of this that catches people off guard. Even when something is still technically inside the window, the model does not weigh all of it equally. The stuff at the very start and the very end of that big block tends to get noticed. The stuff buried in the middle of a long conversation can get glossed over, almost skimmed past, even though it is sitting right there. Researchers actually have a name for this. They call it getting lost in the middle. So a model can forget a detail not because it fell out of the window, but because it got drowned in the noise of a huge transcript. Which is one more reason a giant, sprawling conversation quietly works against you, even when all of it technically still fits. So what do you do about it now that you know how it works? A few simple habits go a long way. First, keep the important stuff recent. If something really matters, a rule, a constraint, the exact format you want, restate it when the model starts to drift, because it leans on what is close at hand far more than what is buried way back at the start. Second, for a long or complex task, do not count on it carrying the whole history. Give it a short summary of what actually matters and work from that. You are basically managing its window for it. Third, start a fresh chat when you switch to a new topic. Dragging a giant unrelated history around just fills the window with noise and crowds out the thing you actually care about right now. And fourth, know that the memory features some apps have added lately are a bolt-on, not a brain. They quietly save little notes about you and paste them back into the window later. Genuinely useful, but it is the same trick underneath. Just a smarter way of stuffing the script, not the model truly remembering you. You might wonder, why not just make the window enormous and be done with it? The newer models do have much bigger windows now, and it genuinely helps. But it is not a clean fix. A bigger window means rereading a bigger block of text on every single message, which costs more and runs slower, and it tends to make that lost-in-the-middle problem worse, not better. More room to look is not the same as paying better attention. So even as the windows keep growing, the basic shape of the thing does not change. It is still a machine rereading a script with no memory of its own, and the smartest way to use it is still to keep what matters short, clear, and close to the end. So when an AI forgets what you said, it is not losing focus or getting tired or tuning you out. It never had a memory to lose in the first place. It is a machine that rereads the whole conversation from a blank slate every single time, limited to a window that only holds so much before the old parts drop away. Honestly, the surprising thing is not that it forgets the old stuff. The surprising thing is that, by rereading the entire script every time, it ever feels like one continuous conversation at all. Once you can see that window, you stop fighting it and start working with it. And that is exactly what we do here, one clear idea at a time.